The Rodecaster Pro is a piece of gear I love using. It's one of those things that makes doing its job genuinely easy. It's aimed at podcasters, but it can be used for a number of different things, whether streaming, gaming, musicians, or content creators. I use it as often as I can to record the audio for these YouTube videos, and I'm using it right now. I'm using it connected to my brand new Rode NTG 4 Plus, and the audio you're hearing right now is directly from the Rodecaster Pro. I have done no processing to it at all, apart from just adding a slight noise gate filter, but I will talk more about that later on in the video. It is an incredible piece of tech, probably one of my favourite bits of gear I use to make my videos, but Rode have recently brought out the Rodecaster Pro 2, and while that does look incredible, I don't have it. So I thought I would make a video all about why the original Rodecaster Pro is still just as good and still worth it even now. So with so many options out there for different audio interfaces, why should you choose the Rodecaster Pro? Because let's be honest, it's not the cheapest, and even now this original Rodecaster Pro is around 500 quid. But for me, the main reason has to be the ease of use. You can literally take your microphone, plug it in, hit record, and know you are going to get great sounding audio without having to do much else. But more than that, it is incredibly well built. All of the different dials and buttons and knobs feel solid. You know you are getting something that is going to take a beating and will last for a very, very long time. Now this for me is what makes the Rodecaster Pro so good and so easy to use, because I'm not an audio guy. I don't know a huge amount about audio, I just know I want good sounding audio. I can appreciate good audio. And as I've mentioned a lot on this channel, audio is the most important part of your video before video quality. I've mentioned that loads on this channel. Go and check out some of my other videos about that if you are interested in that. But good audio when you're making a video is incredibly important, because people will switch off your video if the sound isn't very good. So in the Rodecaster are lots of built-in effects so that you can get great sounding audio with literally just the flick of a switch. So I'm using right now input number 3. So if I tap on number 3, it will bring up this display where I can choose the microphone I use. So I can choose condenser, dynamic. I'm using a condenser microphone, which is the Rode NTG 4 Plus. Rode also have a couple of different presets built in. So if you're using one of those mics, then you can select one of them, but I'm just going to choose condenser because there's no preset for mine. I can then choose my level, obviously, so I can set my levels, and I can set my voice tone and strength. But what is great is you can go into audio processing and you have control over all of these different things. So you can add in a compressor straight in the Rodecaster Pro. You can add in a high pass filter, a de-esser, so you can get rid of those really harsh S's, and then you can add in some other different effects, or you can turn them off completely. So if I do that, this is what it sounds like without any of those processing features turned on. And then if I turn them back on, you'll probably be able to notice the difference. The only one I mentioned earlier on is I said I didn't have a noise gate filter on, and I've added that in post inside Logic Pro X, because with using this condenser microphone, the Rode NTG 4 Plus, I have noticed that in my last video I mentioned this as well. If I use that, it will sometimes drop out because the noise gate is designed to cancel out other noises around you. So if I turn that on, it means that the Rodecaster is having to work incredibly hard, and you will notice sometimes that my voice might just drop out slightly because it's not distinguishing my voice between the background noises. Whereas if I turn that off, I know that it is going to be consistent, and then I can then add in a noise gate inside Logic Pro X, which I have more control over. So that is the settings I would use for this Rode NTG 4 Plus condenser microphone. However, if I was to use this microphone, which is a dynamic microphone, let me just switch microphones. I am now using the Rode Pod mic, which is a dynamic microphone. So if I go into the settings for this one, you can see I have the noise gate filter turned on. But I have full confidence with this microphone that that noise gate filter is doing a much better job. Now you can hear the effect that that noise gate filter has just by turning it on and off. So if I turn it, I'm still using the Rode Pod mic. If I turn the noise gate filter off, you can hear that there is a little bit of background hiss. Whereas if I turn it back on, all of that is gone. And then I'll do the same with the Rode NTG4 Plus. So I'm now using the Rode NTG4 Plus again, and if I go into the settings, the noise gate filter is off. So right now, if I turn off the effects that are on Logic, the noise gate filter, and then I turn the noise gate filter on inside the Rodecaster, it does get rid of all of that background hiss, which sounds great, but my voice might be dropping in and out slightly. So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is it is amazing to have all of these features built into the Rodecaster Pro. However, it depends on which microphone I'm using, on which settings I have. Usually I will have most of them on. It is just that noise gate filter that I will switch on and off for different microphones. But on the whole, straight from the device, you can just take the audio and drop it straight into your video and it will sound amazing. Or the same if you're doing a podcast, you can just upload it straight from there and you won't have anything to worry about. Just occasionally you might want to switch a couple of things on and off depending on which mic you're using. Multi-track recording is another reason why the Rodecaster Pro is brilliant, because if you have multiple things plugged into your device that you are using, such as one or two microphones, you can plug in up to 4, but say you have a few different microphones, you've got a USB device, you can even connect your mobile phone and make calls through it, or you can connect a Bluetooth device as well, so you can have a fair few devices plugged in. If you are recording all of those different things at once, you're going to want to record multi-track, and what that means is when you then open it up inside Logic Pro X or Audacity or Adobe Audition, whichever you use, it is then going to open up a multi-track file with each one of those things recorded into its own track. And what that then gives you is full control to do whatever you want to do to it. And you couldn't do that if it just recorded into one stereo track, because then everything would be mixed into that one file, whereas multi-track just gives you full control to do whatever you want to do. And there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You can take a USB and plug it straight into your computer so that you can record straight into Logic or Audacity, or you can record onto the SD card, or do both at the same time. And when you take that file from the SD card, it records it into one file, but then when you drop it into Logic, it will open it up into a multi-track file so that you can then delete any tracks that you've not used, or make any adjustments that you need to any tracks that might need a couple of adjustments. And then you can export it or bounce it into one final MP3 or WAV file so you can then drag and drop it into your video. The whole workflow really is incredibly easy when you are using it, because sometimes when you're recording audio, it just adds another step to making a video that you don't really want to be doing, because it just adds time. Whereas because the Rodecaster does most of the work for you, there just might be a couple of different tweaks here and there to do. It's so much quicker because it is doing the main job for you, and you can most of the time just drag and drop that file and you're not going to have anything to worry about. So if you're making podcasts or even a little radio show, this feature might be incredibly useful for you, and that is being able to record phone calls directly into the Rodecaster itself. Now, what would usually happen if you were to record a phone call through another device is you would get lots of feedback and it would all be bouncing around all over the place. It would sound terrible and it would be unusable. What the Rodecaster has is a feature called plus minus, which cancels out all of that feedback, which means you just get a nice clear phone call. And that is incredibly useful, because if you're recording a podcast or your radio show and you want to speak to someone that's in another part of the country, or you want people to call into your show, you can record them straight into this, record them into your podcast as live without having to worry about anything, knowing you are going to get a really good call quality. And that makes it so much easier because you've not got to have any other pieces of hardware or software lying around, because it's all done within that. Now these sound pads on the right of the Rodecaster are brilliant, and what they allow you to do is bring in different sound effects or music or whatever you got. Maybe you got a voice clip that you want to play into your podcast or your radio show, and it makes it so easy, because what it means is you can then record your show as live, and you've not got to go back afterwards and edit in all of your music and your sound effects, because you can do it within the Rodecaster. So let me just put in my headphones so I can hear what I'm doing. If you then bring up this slider here, this controls your sound pads, so I can then play a bit of music and you can talk over it as well, and this is all recorded directly into your show, and then you can adjust the volume and do what you want. So if you've got some music playing, you can slide it up, bring it up like that, and you can talk over it, and then you can slide it down when you want it and stop it playing. And that just adds a huge production value to your show live. You've not got to go back and edit in all of your music because it's done there, and that's just a huge bonus. There's obviously 8 sound pads, but you can go in and upload, I think, up to 100 different podcasts and slide through them on the screen and use whichever ones you want to. So you can add in loads of different sound effects. It's not just limited to those 8. It's brilliant. And you've got these headphone volumes as well with 4 headphone outputs. So if you've got 4 people sat around with different mics, you can each individual person hear everything that's going on as live, and you can all hear the sound effects and interact. And it just adds so much production value to your podcast, radio show, and it even helps with YouTube videos. Maybe you've got something that you want to play into a YouTube video, a sound effect or a clip or something. You can then do it live, which then means, again, you've not got to go in and add in another sound effect inside Final Cut Pro or Premiere or whatever, because you're doing it there and it's done. It's so easy. So even now, the original Rodecaster Pro is a genuinely useful bit of kit. I love using it so much. I use it as much as I possibly can to record my videos, because it just makes life so easy with making great quality audio. I've not got to go and make all of those tweaks where I'm just recording flat raw audio. I can just get something great sounding straight away with minimal work needed. And for making YouTube videos, something like this might be a little bit overkill. If you're making podcasts, radio shows, I'd highly recommend it. If you're making YouTube videos, yes, it might be slightly bit too much. There are other things out there that maybe have just 1 or 2 inputs and a couple of sound pads that will do a similar thing. But if you have this, make the most of it because it is useful. If you already have this, I'm not sure whether it would be worth upgrading to the Rodecaster Pro 2. I might be wrong, but this is genuinely still so good. The Rodecaster Pro 2 does look great, and I do really want to test it out soon if I can. But I love this thing. I love it so much, and yeah, I'd highly recommend it. I will link it down below if you want to go and check it out. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Rodecaster Pro or the Rodecaster Pro 2. Should I upgrade? I have been thinking about it, but I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if it's worth it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Rodecaster Pro. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you like what you see on the channel. And I shall see you very soon in the next video. Oh, I don't know what to do with my hair. I've decided to grow my hair, but I'm at that awkward stage where it's just very long and I have no idea what to do with it, and it just looks a mess. But it is what it is. I'm going to stick with it for a while. I've never grown my hair before.